A wannabe terrorist college student sentenced to 18 years in prison after pleading guilty to conspiring with ISIS. Authorities say he was making bombs to attack tourist hotspots, including the Statue of Liberty. This is a Texas man eager to join ISIS, takes the formal route, submitting his resume to the terror group, even with a cover letter explaining he was equipped to teach English to other people in ISIS.
So listen to this study. It claims that 300 Americans have tried joining ISIS and other terror groups in Iraq and Syria. And so far, 12 of them returned home. 9 face terror charges. So who are they and what are they doing and what radicalized them? Here to break it down is Clarion Intelligence Network Director Ryan Mauro. Ryan, if we know they're here, if we know where they were, why are they here?
Well, in these cases where you have specific identities of people who have gone overseas to join ISIS, then came back, and then they haven't been charged with a crime, it's either because you lack the evidence or more likely you're watching them and you're using them as a honeypot. You see other terrorists coming near them, and so you let them go around and talk to people because you're seeing who they're communicating with, and that'll lead you to other people. But don't focus so much on the numbers of these 3 people that are still out there, because this is just based on the publicly available information. As someone who has to track and find these guys, I've got to tell you, there are many other supporters of ISIS and overall fans of the caliphate in the United States beyond what these numbers indicate.
We've got a graphic that shows some of the states with a lot of radicalism, as it's referred to. You've got Minnesota, Virginia, and Ohio with particularly high rates of radicalism. What does this say to you about the guys, though, who went over there hoping to, do ISIS's bidding, and now they got to come home because ISIS is running?
Well, one of the things that happened to a lot of people that were seduced into thinking that caliphate is this wonderful thing is they went over there expecting this Sharia Disney world, and they realized this situation actually isn't so great. It's not everything it was cracked up to be. And so they turned against ISIS. But did they turn against the idea of a caliphate? That I'm not so sure about.
So they're still radicals.
They're still radical, but they're no longer necessarily drawn to ISIS, or they were deterred because they said, look, I'm being watched. I'm not going to succeed if I try to carry out an attack, so why bother? Because their goal is to die, not get locked up.
When there was a caliphate, they knew where to go, and we knew where to find them, a lot of them. Now that it's been broken up, the downside is, Ryan, they've dispersed if they're not dead. Very few said, I want to go back to being a normal person.
Right, so now we are at a turning point, and it's very important for us to focus not just on the remnants of ISIS, but to say what groups are going to benefit from ISIS's downfall, whether that's al-Qaeda's army, an actual army in Syria, or some of these other groups. They're all bound together by this idea that you can cleanse yourself of sin by dying in violent jihad, and that you should pursue a caliphate. And when I'm looking at these next threats, it's groups that can be activated by our so-called ally, Turkey, that basically declared war on us, as well as Pakistan, Iran, and Qatar. Anyone connected to those governments, any organization connected to them, is suspect to me.
You didn't mention Saudi Arabia. Why?
Just forgot. But Saudi Arabia is promoting the Wahhabist ideology, absolutely. But these other governments I mentioned more directly, basically threatening the United States openly.
We are hoping that this new leader understands the threat that he created and is starting to crack down. But let's see.
Hope for the best.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Scary stuff.
All right.